Hello there. I love the history and the etymology of sports words. So what I've done for you now, I've investigated the meanings and the history and the etymologies of a lot of sports words that we use in everyday language. I hope you enjoy it. A podium is a platform used to raise something to a short distance above its surroundings. It derives from the Greek word podi, meaning foot. Let gets its origins from the Old Saxon word letion, which meant to hinder or prevent something from happening. Martial, as in martial arts, dates back to the medieval Latin word martialis, meaning Mars or war. Mars, of course, is the Roman god of war. The Olympic sport of water polo gets its name from the original form of the sport, which was played on horseback and involved mallets. Polo itself was last an Olympic sport in 1936. Polo is a rendering of the Balti Tibetan word pulo, which means ball. That is the target of the sport's swinging mallets. Triathlon, the word, is of Greek origin, from tris, meaning three, and athlon, meaning contest or prize. Badminton gets its modern name from where it was first played in England by the Earl of Badminton at Badminton House way back in 1873. Originally, the sport was called Pune, after the Indian city where it was first invented, before the British soldiers brought it back to England. Javelin throwing was one of the events of the original Pentathlon at the ancient Greek Olympics. The historic Hellenes didn't call it javelin, they called it akon or akonchion. The word javelin comes from a French word for a light spear, javelin. Where the French javelin comes from is a little bit more vague. Some say it has Celtic roots that mean forked, and it is related to a branch of a tree that spears were first made from. Somewhat strangely, the ancient Olympics didn't include the marathon race. It was only after 1896 and the modern programme starting. Much lore surrounds the historical marathon. A Greek hero ran from Marathon to Athens to announce that Greece was victorious in their battle with Persia. He delivered the message and then died, his feet living on in the word marathon. The distance from Marathon to Athens is said to be 26 miles or 42 kilometres. I checked this on Google Maps, and not knowing exactly his starting and finishing points, it's difficult to confirm, but by foot, Google says it's about 35 kilometres. A bantamweight. Most of the weight categories in boxing are obvious, like heavyweight, middleweight and lightweight. Bantamweight is a little bit more different. Bantamweight apparently takes its name from the bantam, named after a particularly feisty kind of chicken, originally from Bantam in Java. The pommel refers to one of the hand grips fitted onto the pommel horse, which gymnasts grab in this Olympic and also gymnastic event. The grips resemble pommels on the saddles for actual horses, which jut out knob-like from the front. These get their name from the French word pomme, meaning little apple, the root from the Latin word pomum, meaning fruit. The pentathlon, its name is derived from Greek, combining the words pente, 5, and athlon, meaning contest or prize. Trampoline is from the Italian word trampoli, meaning stilts. Further explanation is unclear, but some think it's related to the English word tramp, meaning to stamp around, and the word that is slang for a vagrant. In scull rowing, the athlete propels the boat by pulling two oars at the same time. These oars are known as sculls, a name since given to the kind of boat the rowers use. Scull is a very old English language word dating back to as early as 1345. The word scull in Old English is a drinking bowl. A few etymologists liken the scooped blade of the skull to the hollow basin of the skull. Some say that humans once made these drinking bowls from actual human skulls. Slalom. The word slalom in canoe slalom and skiing slalom fittingly gets its name from the Norwegian word Slalom, meaning sloping track. Fencing derives from the French word defense, which in turn comes from the Latin defendere, meaning to drive away. The steeplechase is a 3,000 metre event requiring runners to jump over hurdles and water on the track. The history of this event is that it began on horseback in Ireland, where riders once raced through the countryside using steeples as distance markers or finish lines. Whilst racing, they had to negotiate stone walls, hedges and streams along the way. Asymmetric bars that we used to use in gymnastics is the wrong name in the first place because the bars are not asymmetric. There is a line of symmetry and they are both the same length and thickness. That's probably the reason they are now known as the uneven bars. Biathlon and bicycle. The prefix bi has its derivation from Latin and its Greek variant di. Both mean two. The Latin prefix is far more prevalent in common words such as biathlon, biceps and bicycle. The more technical Greek di appears in such words as dioxide and dilemma. Why should you never date a tennis player? To them, love means nothing, but that's not the reason it got its name. According to etymologists, the word love is possibly derived from the French word œuf, which literally means egg. If we look at the shape of an egg, we can see it resembles zero, and therefore came to be used when someone had no score in tennis. Jog doesn't really mean what the popular pastime we enjoy today is. It really means to shake up and down, a bit like jogging your memory. It was perhaps altered from Middle English shoggen, which means to shake, jolt, or move with a jerk. Mascot. The term is a derivative of the word masco, meaning sorceress or witch. Before the 19th century, the word mascot was associated with inanimate objects that would be commonly seen, such as a lock of hair or a figurehead on a sailing ship. Now most teams and sports events have their own mascots. The word arena derives from the Latin word harena, which is a particularly fine-grained sand that covered the floor of ancient arenas such as the Colosseum in Rome. The sand was there to absorb all the blood and gore. The word doping, which we now associate with cheating in sport, comes from the early 19th century in Holland, where doop is a sauce, and also dopen means to dip or to mix. The stadion was a sprint race named after the building in which it took place. This word became stadium in Latin, which later became, in English, the word stadium. There were other types of running events, but the stadium was the most prestigious. The winner was often considered to be the winner of the entire games. The stadion was big enough for 20 competitors to race at the same time, and the race was a 200-yard sprint, which is about 180 metres. The original stadium track in Olympia measures approximately 190 metres. We are happy to step onto court and hit a ball over the net with a racket and play a game called tennis. But what does that word tennis actually mean? There have been several attempts to pinpoint the exact origins of the word, but the closest seems to derive from the word tenez, which is the command form of the French verb tenir, which means to hold. This is what the players in the 13th century in France would shout before hitting the ball to their opponent when playing the game of jeu de paume. The Gymnasium in ancient Greece functioned as a training facility for competitors in public games. It was also a place for socialising and engaging in intellectual pursuits. That's why some German high schools are named gymnasiums. In most countries, though, it's just used as an athletic area. A bagel is a tennis score of 6-love in a set. This is when one player has been badly beaten. The bagel is a shape of the zero. We use the word seed in sport to avoid big names based on success and teams meeting each other in early rounds of competitions. Seeds are planted into the draw, and so it's known where certain players or teams will be. Seeding is used in numerous sports such as tennis, squash, American football playoffs, Champions League football, etc., etc. If you've hit an ace, you've hit an unreturnable serve in tennis. The origin of the tennis meaning of the word dates back to around the 18th century, where an ace in cards meant excellence. It was also a number one, and so became synonymous with a single, unplayable shot like a serve. The name gym comes from the ancient Greek word gymnos, meaning naked. Deuce. If you listen to the pronunciation deuce in tennis, you could forgive yourself for thinking that this word means a tight squeeze at 40 points each. But alas, the origins of this tennis word seem to be, again, from the French language, where the term à deux de jeu means to be 2 points away from the game. A serve. Serving has its roots in tennis and royalty. Some of the players didn't want to bend down and pick balls up, and so they would have their servants throw the ball to start the rally. The word boycott entered the English language during the Irish Land War and derives from Captain Charles Boycott, who was the land agent of an absentee landlord, Lord Erne, who lived in County Mayo. He was the subject of social ostracism organised by the Irish Land League in 1880. After Achilles was born, his mother wanted to protect him from harm. She held him by the heel and dipped him into the river Styx. In Greek mythology, the river Styx was located in the underworld and had special powers. Achilles became invulnerable everywhere but at his heel where his mother held him. Head across to my website, tavclaudain.com, for the best in sports facts, quizzes, quotes, trivia, podcasts, and much, much more to do with sport. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so that you are the first to know about any brand new videos that I'll be uploading regularly to YouTube.